Episode 19 of the Think Wildlife podcast. I speak to Siew Te Wong, who is the founder of the Borneon Sunbear Rescues and Conservation Center. We talk about the threats to one of the rarest bears in the world and what can be done to conserve this highly endangered species. My first question is, why did you start the Borneon Sunbear Conservation Center and what is your long-term vision?
Okay, how I start the Borneo Sunbear Conservation Center, well, I'll have to uh, start talk about when I first came to Borneo to study wild sunbear some 25 years ago. And then at the times, no one ever studied sunbears, and I was given the great opportunity to study sunbears in the wild during that time back in 1998. And at the time, there was two other research students, Fuyuki Nomura from Japan and Gabriela Frederiksson from Netherlands, also study sunbears all on the islands of Borneo, but in different locality. And when I study sunbears, I discover that sunbears are really amazing. You know, they play many important ecological roles in the world, in the wild. Like they are very important in dispersal. They are forest doctor, they are forest engineers, they are forest farmers, they are food providers, and all in all helps the forest ecosystems, including both plants and animals. And they are really amazing. They can climb trees all the way to the treetops. Here in Borneo, average treetop measure about 50 meters tall. So when the sun bear is like 40, 50 meters above the ground, it was really, really amazing. And at the times, of course, they were so little known. And after all these discoveries, we found out that they are again very important. And this was the one extreme that I experienced. And then when I come out from the forest, I experience another extreme. What kind of extreme is the deforestations? The forest has been cleared for timber productions, has been cleared for oil palm productions, and on top of that, there's many bears who have been hunted, poached for meat, for medicines, baby bears being kept as pets, and all is another extreme that how humans did treat the bears so badly. And then at the times there was also a lot of bears being kept in captivities, and that was the very very sad animals, very very sad bear. And after that, in 2004, I came to Sabah, Borneo, for the second times to conduct a nationwide survey on captive sun bears. I want to know the situation. How bad is the situation of the captive sun bears during the time in Sabah, Sarawak, in Borneo, and also West Malaysia. So I did travel around and then visit all the zoos, visit all the crocodile farm, visit all the recreation area where there was bears, visit all the mini zoos, and found out that the situation was really bad. And a lot of bears has been kept in small cages for many many years, and they needs help. They needs a proper home, and therefore the ideas of setting up the Bornean Sunbear Conservation Center first came into my mind during that time. At the times, my very last place for my study is the Circular Orangutan Rehabilitation Center, where the Sabah Wildlife Department keep all of their rescue sunbear there. So looking at the situations, looking at how Orangutan Center helps the conservations of orangutans, and I feel like, oh, since sunbears face the same kind of situation with the orangutans, and we need a proper facilities, we need a proper center for these captive sun bears in the first place, and then after that we can conduct education, we can do research, we can do rehabilitations, all based on the center. And that's how the ideas of setting up this conservation center for sun bears. And then my long-term vision, of course, is we want to uh, make sure that the sun bears can live forever in our forest, okay, in the forests of Southeast Asia, so that they don't extinct, because there are many large mammal in this area already become extinct or close to extinction, which is extremely sad. Uh, yeah, so that's how I, yeah, that's my long-term vision.
How many bears do you have at your center?
Currently, we have 44 rescue sunbear at our centers. And then over the last 15 years, the Sabah Wildlife Department have rescued 66 bears and sent to us for our to care for. So, and then 12 of our bears has been released back into the wild, and then 12 died from various causes. One escaped, and yeah, so currently there are 44 bears.
What processes are involved in rehabilitating orphaned slash confiscated bears, and what are some challenges of releasing them back to the wild?
Yes, there's actually yeah, a lot of work, a lot of work. Well, first of all, the bears that we rescue as a full-grown adult are not releasable because they have been habituated to people. They associate human with food, and then they lost the instinct on finding food in the wild. They cannot climb trees, which is extremely important, and all the survival skill for those captive sun bear that raised in captivity, small cages for many years, are not suitable for release, because if we release those bear, they were definitely looking for people and they will get into trouble. And also they are not going to make it in the forest. So the hope for our rehabilitation work is focused on the cubs, the baby, the cubs that we rescue, and then the process involving, once we receive a cup which is still small, maybe several months old, and then the first thing that we need to do is to gain their trust, is to bond with this bear. Imagine that all of these baby bear cubs are often mammal, and often mammals all raised by their mother. There's no exception. Mother give them food, which is milk, and then mother protect them from any danger, and mother teach them to survive in the forest. And over the years, we know that sun bears actually have a relatively long maternal care period, that up to 3 to 4 years, the longest among other bear species in the world. And then and those orphans bear that we rescue, we have to play the roles as their mother. And the very first thing that we need to do is to gain their trust and bond with them, so that they treat us like their mother, and so that they can trust us. And once the bonding established, their stress level go down. Okay, and when their stress level go down, they can drink more milk and grow fast, and that's exactly what we want. And then after the bonding established, we can walk them in the forest. We bring them into the forest. The good thing about our center is half of our center is actually located at the Kabili Sapilok Forest Reserve. It is a natural forest with a lot of tall trees, dense forest. And then when we walk the bear cub in the forest, it is like, bringing the bears in a natural forest, in a natural primary forest, where the bears can climb trees, the bear can dig out for termite, for earthworms, all of the things that the wild bears do in the wild. We have that kind of forest available to them. And then, so we will continue walking the bears on the daily basis, so that they can always have close contact with the forest, and then develop their skill and also develop their strength, especially in terms of climbing trees. And then after they reach about 20 kilograms, when they reach about a year old, we can no longer walk them because it's not safe anymore, because they develop their strength, they become big, they are very playful. Then those bears are grouped in a group together, join our existing bear to form a groups, and then this group of bear uh, would be released in forest enclosures of various sizes. The biggest forest enclosures that we have is 0.32 hectares, and then at least they growing up still in the natural environment, but no human interactions anymore. Yeah, and then in their forest enclosure, they still can, look for food, natural food, dig for earthworms, feed on other grubs until they are fully grown at the age of 4 or 5 years old. Then we in the process we assess their ability, their behaviors, and to choose the best candidate where we think they have the best chance to survive in the forest. So those are the bears that we select and then release back into the wild. So far, 12 bears has been selected and released into the wild out of 66 sun bears that we rescued.
Could you just elaborate a bit on the five principles of BSBCC?
Yeah, sure. So when I first started the center, we set up 4 pillars first as our mission statement. The mission statement states something like the Borneon Sunbear Conservation Center aims to conserve sunbear through holistic approach that incorporates improved animal welfare, education, research, rehabilitations, and then after we opened to the public in 2014, we incorporated another pillar, which is ecotourisms, into the 5 pillars that are principles that our work is based on. And then pillars number 1 is animal welfare, which is extremely important because all of the bears that we rescue all have need to be well taken care of by giving them proper cares and improve their well-being or the welfare, so that they have the dignity, so that they can be respected, to be an animals, to be a bears, to be a wildlife. So this is what we want to do by giving them proper facilities, by giving them the best care than that we can give them. Yeah, so that's under the animal welfare pillars. And then as of the education pillar, Sunbear is the least known bear in the world. And then there's still a lot of things. Oh, education pillars is what we need to educate the general public about the sunbears. Okay, sunbears is still the least known bear in the world. Not many people know there's a bear called sunbears in our forest. And also not many people knows that they are actually a totally protected species. No one is allowed to hunt them, to kill them. So we need to educate the public about sunbears, about their conservation status. And then we also need to tell and teach and educate the general public about the importance of sunbears in the forest ecosystems, and also the importance of the rainforest where they live as well. So this is under the education pillars. Whereas the research pillars is sunbears, the least known bear in the world. We will need to continue our research on the sunbear so that we know more about sunbear, so that the managements, the managements, the wildlife management on sunbears can be scientifically based on scientific informations and not just like blind doing. Yeah, and then rehabilitation I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so it's to give them a second chance to go back into the wild. And then ecotourism is the fifth, which is extremely important because it generates revenues to support all of the works that we do at the center. And even better, it generates revenues to support the local economy, the state economy, improving local livelihood. And because of that, it create an incentive for the governments to protect wildlife, because wildlife that running wild worth money nowadays through nature-based tourism or ecotourism. Same with the forest as well. So because these forests, this wildlife are the attractants to attract lots of, especially the foreign tourists, come and enjoy and come and tour. So these are the 5 principles of BSBCC.
So moving on to some threats which are faced by the Bornean sunbear. So how does the illegal wildlife trade impact the Bornean sunbear?
Yes, the illegal wildlife trade threatens the sun bear because sun bears in the forest are very rare. Okay, each individual matters for their population. So when a sun bear is being poached, being killed to supply the illegal trade, whether it is life or death, that activity create a lot of impacts on the wild population. And on top of that, it is illegal. it is illegal. Sunbear is a totally protected species in Sabah, in Malaysia, and then in most countries as well. So any kind of illegal uh, poaching, there's no legal hunting at all. So it's all poachings, and also because of the animals that they poach, can be traded for a lot of money for food. Sunbed gallbladder as traditional Asian medicines, and all would create pressures on their survival, because especially when you deal with a lot of poor people on the ground. And right now we are seeing with the gap between the rich and the poor is so high, is so big. The rich is willing to pay so much money, and the poor know, although they are illegal, yet they're still willing to take the risk to hunt the very last bears in the forest. So illegal wildlife trade, how they threaten the Sambia population by absolutely diminishing or wipe out the local Sambia population. Yeah, very bad.
So, what are some of the other threats which are impacting the Bornean sun bear?
Other threats that some may face, say for example, by far is deforestation. If you look at the maps of sunbed distributions, it is actually found across Southeast Asia, including eastern tip of India, eastern tip of Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Peninsula of Malaysia, Sumatra, and Borneo. And all of these areas, especially Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, this area has a lot of very valuable natural resources in the forest. What? Timber. So when timber has been harvested to meet the demand for local market and also international timber market, then the governments have no choice but to clear our forest, which is the oldest in the world, 140 million years forest. And all of these big trees are tropical hardwood. And those hardwood worth a lot of money on either local or international timber market. And then when this forest is gone, of course, sun bear is a forest dependent species. And when they have no forest, means that they don't have habitat, and then they just die. They just couldn't make it. So deforestation is by far number one, followed by what you mentioned just now, illegal poaching for body parts, for meat, and then the third threat is sun bear keeping as pets. As I mentioned in my in the very first principles, and also the rehabilitations of sun bears, all of these baby bears very cute. The poachers brutally kill the mother to exploit their body parts, their gallbladders, their claws, and so on. And then and then after that, if this bear have a cub, then they will capture the cubs and sell it for profit, and also or keep the cubs as their own house pets. And then lately, because of development, especially in West Malaysia, more roads has been built. The existing smaller become big road, more vehicles, and then when the landscape has been fragmented by fragmentations because of human developments, a lot of the sun bears have no choice but to cross road. And then when they cross road with big roads with a lot of very fast speeding vehicles, then many of them end up being road killed, then end up being killed by vehicles. So these are the fourth threats that the sun bear face.
So, moving back towards your bear rescue center. So, what have been some of your biggest challenges in the last 15 years running?
Yes, there's always a lot of challenges. When I first started the center 15 years ago, of course, the biggest challenge would be finding sufficient money or funding to build the entire center, because the establishments of the center needs a lot of fund to build this and to build that. So how do I come out with that kind of money is a huge challenge issue. Is a huge challenge here. So money is the biggest challenge at the times. And then right now, after the establishment of the center, money is still a big challenge, especially in the last 3 years during the pandemic. Yeah. And but yet I face another challenge, which is finding sufficient or competent staff to do the works on the ground is very challenging because the work that we do over here is not glamorous. A lot of hard work. You need to sacrifice your own personal life. You need to work long hour, and often you are not paid that well compared to other corporates or other organizations because we are grassroots small NGO. And then yeah, so try to find the people who are really really interested, really have the passions and have the perseverance to do this course is actually very challenging. If the best situation would be clone myself, but which is less likely. So I have to keep on looking for the right people, the best people, people who have the interests just like myself and willing to sacrifice for the name in the name of sunbears. That is challenging. Yeah.
How can individuals contribute to the Borneon Sunbear Rescue Center and sunbear conservation in general?
Well, okay, actually, I sometimes ask people to do what you do best to help sunbears. Think about what you do best. Since sunbear is the least known bear in the world, there are so many things that we need to do in order to conserve them properly. And one thing that easily anybody can do is to help us spread the word. Visit our website, visit our social media, in order to educate your knowledge on sunbear and also the works that we do at the Borneo Sunbear Conservation Center. And then after that, do use your finger to click the share button on your mouse, and then or your smartphone, so that the news, the words can be spread out to your friends, to your family, to your relatives, so that they also can know and aware of there is a bear called sun bear which is in danger, which they need our help. So this is help us spread the words. It's not going to cost you anything. The second thing that you can do is will cost you something is to donate to us. Yeah. And then because the work that we do needs a lot of funding, need a lot of fund to pay all of the expenses like radio collar, like chartering helicopters, like barefoot, like paying salary, all of that at our center. So we need funding, we need money to make all of the works that we do possible on the ground. So with your support, we can do all of this. We are on the front. We are on the front line. We are the frontliner to do the work. And then although you are not trained to do this work, it's okay. You can sit back, and then if you donate the money, we can do the work on the ground. So this is number two. The third thing that you can do if you have extra time, okay, we need you to become our volunteer. Join our volunteer force, join our workforce at our centers to take care of our bears, and at the same time learn the works that we've been doing. I think it's a very meaningful thing to do. Okay. And then finally but not least, there's a lot of things that you can do, is to do what you do best. Yeah, if you are students, study sunbears. If you are artists, come and help us paint a painting. If you're a photographer, if you're a filmmaker, come to photograph of the sunbear, video about the sunbear. If you are an author, write about the works that we've been doing, and all of that helps. Since sunbear is still the least known bear in the world, the more people you can influence, the more people you can educate and tell them about sunbear, definitely is going to be better for the future of sunbears.
And my final question for you today is that what has been your biggest learning from your conservation career?
Well, the biggest learning from my conservation career. Okay, so I have been involving, and well, first of all, I've been working with animals, from livestock, pets, exotic pets and wildlife literally all my life. Um, I think, and then especially over the last 30 years, I've been working with wildlife. And I think the biggest learning for my conservation career is that, they need, there's a lot of, I mean, the wildlife is so important to our forest ecosystem. Sunbears is so important to our forest ecosystem. And we need to ensure that they can survive for a long, long time in our forest, so that the forest benefit from the presence of sun bear, so that the other wildlife benefit from the presence of sun bears. And I would say that would be, the whole forest ecosystem is a complex system, but yet we need it to be intact. The intact forest ecosystem is very, very important. And then so we cannot say, for example, earlier I mentioned to you that our rhino has become extinct. And it is such a sad thing that, rhino extinct. And I'm sure that with the extinction of the rhino, there are many plants and animal species got affected with the absence of the rhino in our forest ecosystem. And we do not want that to happen for the sun bear. And then I would end, these questions by using Jane Goodall's quote, which I read it like some 30 years ago. It is on a book that Jane Goodall wrote, called Through the Window. On the first page in her quote, she wrote, only if we understand can we care. Only if we care can we help. Only if we help can they be safe. There's four process in this code. The first thing is to understand. And then for anybody, understanding is extremely important, to understand a species, to understand the threats, to understand how can we help them. So at times I was a student studying sunbears, and that is the stage where I try to understand, right? And then follow after I understand it. I know the situation, I know the problem, I know the challenge. Then I start to care. Care comes from the heart. Nobody forced me to care. It is actually generated from the hearts. And then after the hearts, after the care, then you will choose to help. Help with action. Creating the Borneon Sunbear Conservation Center is an action. And then after the actions being implemented, then they can be helped. So remember that for process, understand, care, help, and they will be safe. They will bring hope. So that's what I want to tell everybody. That's my biggest learning. And if I can do it for the sun bear, so can anybody, do it for any species of their interests, of their loves, so that we can spread more love, so that we can care more on all the species that share the planet with us.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Yep, nice speaking to you too. Thank you for this opportunity.